Hey guys, welcome back. A couple of people were asking about the coin program that I was using in the detector comparison video I uploaded recently. So I thought I'd make a video showing the settings. Now this particular program is set up for cherry picking silver from trashy sites, so it obviously uses a lot of discrimination. It's sort of like a cross between my DS2 Silver Slayer program and the old Trashy Park E-Track pattern by Bill S. Some of you may know him by his channel name, which is Dirt Fishing. That was a really good program. Anyway, before we look at the program settings, let's take a minute to talk about discrimination and where you'd want to use a program like this one. As most of you know, discrimination is a trade-off. It's basically used to control the number of good targets found per time spent detecting. This doesn't just apply to coin hunters either. It applies to relic hunters, beach hunters, anybody who uses it. Anytime you use any amount of discrimination, you run the risk of missing some targets, whether they're commingled with iron or other junk targets. Let's be realistic. Do any of us really dig it all? I know I don't. So like I said, it's a trade-off. So this program knocks out everything except for targets that read in the copper penny range and up, along with a slot for nickels. The idea is to take it into trashy sites and quickly pick out the more common silver coins while avoiding most of the junk targets. And when I say common silver coins, I mean silver dimes, quarters, and halves. I hunt a lot of sites like parks and schools and curb strips that date from the 1920s and up, where the odds of finding older coins like half dimes and trimes is relatively low. To me, this program's perfect for that. Now obviously, if you're hunting an older site where there's a good chance of finding those less common coins, you'd want to use way less discrimination. Basically, you want to match the amount of discrimination to the time you have to detect and the targets you expect to find. So anyway, let's take a look at this program. Okay, so first thing we need to do is select our base program. And for that, we're going to use all-terrain high conductor. Okay. Next up, we'll set our default recovery speed, and we're going to make that 3. Now, this is a site-dependent setting, so if you're on a spot that's trashy or has a lot of iron, you might want to raise it up just a little bit to get a little better separation. Or if you're on a cleaner spot, you might want to drop it down a notch or so that you get a little more depth. Okay, next up, we're going to set the Ferris limits. We're going to click Edit on the preset, go down to Lower, and then click this button to say the lower limits over the top of Custom 1. Click Check. Okay, once you get in here, you're going to see that it has a red area highlighted, and you can move that around. We're going to start and lower this top limit down to 10. So we'll click Edit, bump it down to 10, hit back, move it over, edit, bump it down to 10, back, move it over, down to 10. And we'll do that until we get all the way across there. I'm sure there's an easier, faster way to do this, but that's the way I did it. Okay, so we have it at 10 all the way across. Now we're going to go down to the lower section, and we're going to move the red line all the way up to this highest point here. We're going to click Edit and move that up to -13. Okay, hit back, move it down to this last little step here, click Edit, and move that up to 21. Okay, hit back, move over to the very last section, edit, move that up to 21. Okay, and now we have our Ferris limit set. Okay, next up we're going to edit the discrimination pattern. Click Edit, and here it lets you change the selection width. We're going to change that to 20. Move it over so that we're graying out from 2 to 21. We're going to click the reject key. We're going to move it up so that we're graying out 29 through 48. We're going to hit the reject key again. Okay, and we're going to move it from 49 to 68 and click reject again. We're going to bump it up one more notch so that we can reject 69. We'll click the reject button again. And now we're done. So we're basically accepting everything from 70 on up, and that's going to get you copper pennies, clad dimes, and everything above. Silver will come in a little bit higher most of the time, but I like to leave a cushion below it just in case I come across a worn out dime. I'd like to get those too. I don't mind digging the wheat pennies either, because that's a good way to date the areas. All right, we'll go back, hit back again. Okay, next up we'll go to Target Tones, Audio Theme. I'm going to change this to pitch, or depth, I think they call it. Yeah, we're going to change it to depth, and once we get it set up, we'll kind of go over the logic behind it. Okay, so we'll click depth, Go down to minimum pitch. I'm going to change that to 10. We go down to the maximum pitch and raise that all the way up to 65. Okay, now we hit the back key. Now on a program like this, the reason I prefer to use depth or pitch is because we're only accepting a very narrow range of targets, mostly all high conductors. Now something like all tones is good if you're running an open pattern because it lets you hear the conductivity of the target. In other words, if you get over a nickel, you're going to get a low tone. Over an Indian, you'll get a mid tone. Over something like a barber dime, you'll get a high tone. But since we're accepting such a narrow range of targets, basically just high conductors, we don't really need that information. To me, having the depth information that depth tones or pitch tones gives is more important, because it quickly gives you an idea of how deep the target is, even better than modulation alone. And it also is very alertive on target. So that's why I like to use pitch. Okay. Next up, we want to make sure we're in multi-IQ, and we are. So the last thing you need to set is your sensitivity, and of course that's a site-dependent setting. The way you want to do that is raise it up until your detector becomes a little bit erratic, and then back it down a notch or two until it calms down. So there you go, guys. As you can see, it's really easy to come up with your own custom program for the Manticore. But this one will be a good one to get you started. Using this program, my first 2 trips out with the Manticore ended up with 6 silver, so it does work. But anyway, give it a shot and leave me a comment down below. Let me know how it works out for you. Thanks for watching. Happy hunting, and I'll see you next time.